had to run outside because
there she is.
UPS was banging on my door. I'm like, wait.
It's like the plight of quarantine life. It's like, what package is arriving now? Oh, Hannah. Hannah says she's so excited for this. She's told me this 3 times or 4 times. Hannah is our video and podcast assistant, and Christina works on social media with us. So,
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that's like the plight of quarantine life, right? Like,
Insane.
when's the package arriving? Like, how am I going to open it up? I don't know how strict you're continuing to be, but like, I don't know.
Going through a whole thing. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, let's get started. We're talking about social media today.
Yeah.
First off, let's start with this. We've got 20 questions for you. Hey, Pat. Oh, my friend Pat's here. Hi.
Hey.
This is a really good conversation to be listening to. Tell us about you, Christina. Christina's been my social media manager for how long now?
I feel like it's going to be almost a year.
I was going to say the same thing. I think it's almost a year.
Almost a year, probably around 8 months, something like that. So yeah, it's been a while now.
It's been a while. It's really good. What do you work on specifically within the world of social media? Why don't you tell everybody? Hey, Pat.
Sure. Hi, guys. I see family members. So essentially, I am helping everyone create their digital footprint. So a brand like Story and Rain and Tamara, and I'll consult with them. I'll try to figure out, how do you want your to look? What is your goal? Who is the audience that you're trying to reach? And we start to build up from there. So I started working with social media maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. It's been a while.
That's good.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I started when I was in college. And then
you started when you're in college. That's interesting. Like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So like I started.
Because you are very schooled. You bring a lot of experience to this. And I feel like you've been working on this for a while. So talk about that. How were you dabbling in this in college?
So I first started on a platform called Black Girl Fly Magazine. I'm also like,
Christina, you're kind of going in and out a little bit.
Really?
Like every other word. Is somebody texting you or are you getting a call?
I'm not. Maybe.
All right, well, let's just try to see if we can get rid of the in and out, because I know that everybody wants to hear what you have to say, particularly right now.
Can you hear me now?
That's nice and clear, yeah.
Yeah, it might be that my computer is like blocking the sound.
Well, you're the technology expert, so
I started interning on a platform called Black Girl Fly Magazine.
In college. Where did you go to college?
And I went to the University at Buffalo. And I started there, and from there I just I became so obsessed with putting together stories, but short stories, like little concise stories. And I went to school for communication, so I studied journalism in Germany. So a lot of my background is in journalism, and then I just pushed it into the social world.
But I love that. I think that's like a happy marriage, you know?
Yeah, it is, because I think the thing about social is like getting your point across quick, opposed to journalism where I'm always used to writing like long form. So yeah, it started in college, and then people started to ask like, hey, like, do you do this full time? And then I ended up working at Verizon Media with the Huffington Post and AOL.com, from a standpoint of like video production and making sure that video was reaching their audiences. And it just
snowballed. It snowballed
out of nowhere. And then I found myself opening up Consult with Chris and helping other brands, try to figure out what they want to do on social. And now I'm here, and it's great. Like, this is something that I love to do.
Oh, you're here, all right. We talk about people like stepping into their calling, like you've done that. Well, I want to just backtrack and say, like, what I love about your story is that's great, is that you really like grabbed you know, not to use like an outdated like phrase, but it's sort of like you grab the bull by the horns. You know what I mean? Like something presented itself to you and you just sort of ran with it, and it's proven to be fruitful for you. I think I think you are right where you need to be right now, if I could be so bold and say that. Like, and I think just in my career and in my, you know, and the career that I see amongst like anyone who's ever interned for me or anyone who's been an assistant, it's the people that sees the opportunities in the way that you have that I think, you know, become really successful. No, I mean it. I mean it. So let's talk about this. Which social media platforms are you working most frequently in right now? I think people would love to know, like, as somebody like you, like what is your like rotation?
So right now, I'm always on Instagram. Instagram is like
King.
my bread and butter all the time. But in terms of social platforms that are kicking off right now, and if you want to bring a presence to social, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok,
Yeah.
and Twitter always. Twitter.
See, it's really interesting, and I don't want to cut you off, but at one point, I was advised to, like, you know, sort of Twitter is not Storing Rain's place. Like, Storing Rain doesn't. So for a while, you know, we were pushing a lot of posts to Twitter, and I was sort of told that, like, you're not really Twitter people, and I think that's interesting. And, you know, and I came to find out, or, you know, because I'm always open to hearing opinions and new advice, and as a startup, like, that's sort of what you do, right? You kind of like test theories and things. But I learned once again recently that, like, Twitter is exactly where we should be. You know, for a while, I think it was, Christina, wouldn't you say that, like, for a while it was like a place for sort of newsy content and like soundbite content? You know, and once some, you know, we're so visual and we're, you know, somebody was sort of like, oh, don't focus on that right now. But I don't, you know, I should have gone with my gut on that.
Yeah, because Twitter is just a place where everyone's talking. It's like, it's
right.
You know, everyone's constantly talking on Twitter. So you can find cool ways to present your visual content and even share. I think, I remember, I think it was Alana or Hannah had a conversation with them. And I was saying, like, we need to push stories. Like, all of the stories that you write, you know, should go on Twitter because people retweet those. And, you know, when we were able to get
articles, you mean, like, you know, posting articles. Yeah.
When we were able to get on.
Okay, what about LinkedIn?
So
a lot of my very seasoned editor friends, some of whom may be in this chat right now, are doing a lot of posting on LinkedIn. What's your feeling around that?
So I feel like I post on LinkedIn, so I can't say.
Everyone I know, a lot of people I know do, and it's like sort of like, it's like on this like to-do list that I have that like is so long. It's like, oh, LinkedIn, don't forget about LinkedIn. Tell us about that.
Way to showcase your work. So a lot of the time, I feel like we're switching from an era where, you know, everything was so like almost like militant when it came to the workplace. And now creatives are going on LinkedIn and they're finding more work by showing work. So I think that LinkedIn is a great source. Again,
I agree.
Again, with articles and sharing and getting people who are within your same, you know, work environment.
Industry. Yeah.
Exactly. And people are sharing that within. And I've gotten a lot of, actually work with this brand called NY Black MBA, and I got that from LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I actually, like, I won't name names or be specific, but I have had some major job opportunities come my way on LinkedIn, like talking like directors at companies, at big retail companies. Like it's you know, I'm glad that I built up my LinkedIn. You know, I achieved, you know, I really set up my profile. I will say this, I set up, you know, my profile a while ago in a very robust way. We recently set up Story and Rain's profile, not in a robust way, but we will. It's just sort of always in the back of my mind that we should be more active on LinkedIn. So are you seeing sort of a pull towards that? Like, I think there was a time for sure, wouldn't you say, Christina, that like people were just like, oh, LinkedIn,
Yeah, because
It's a business networking site, and you know, now it's, I feel that the people that I know that are that are the smartest and the most sort of career oriented and who are trying to do things, they're actively posting on LinkedIn.
everybody do not sleep on LinkedIn.
Don't sleep on LinkedIn. Right.
Because I think the thing about it is we don't think of it as a social network platform, but it definitely is. And the amount
Yeah.
of that people can make from LinkedIn by posting their work are like beyond.
Yeah, I agree. Next question for you is it hard to keep up with all the updates to the social media platforms? It seems like they are evolving quicker than ever.
It's insane. It's
Okay.
too much. Like
It's
I
too much.
take my Sundays and I literally like go through the internet for updates.
It's really interesting because my next question for you, Christina, was, well, no, one of them here was sort of, let me find it. Is sort of about that. It's like, is it hard to keep up? What are your resources for staying informed and up to date? And I was going to ask you, like, how often do you feel as a social media professional that you feel like you have to keep up to date? Like,
any updates that come out, because I'm working because my 9 to 5 is also including social. We get
yeah,
one up
like let's break it down. You have a 9 to 5 job, and then you have a lot of freelance clients,
exactly and
including us. Yes.
exactly. So we get updates from our platform based on what's going on social almost daily. So if there are any type of Instagram changes and like that, we'll know first. The learning curve is understanding what that means. So, when we first got into quarantine and everyone was on live every single day, there were a lot of limitations to live. Instagram didn't
I
have,
have been living this in real time. You know
yeah,
that because you and I have been talking like very closely, like every, we've been talking daily about it. And like
yeah,
our whole team, the whole Story and Rain team, this is interesting. I mean, I guess this is an interesting thing to sort of talk about because I know that our whole Story and Rain team, including Hannah and Alana and every day we sort of have these chats where we're like, wait, that feature used to be there, but it's no longer.
yeah,
Wait, like we saved it this way yesterday, but now we're supposed to save it another way today. We're constantly having these conversations, and
yeah. So,
I'm experiencing it in real time. It's actually kind of a momentous thing to be a part of, really.
yeah,
It's annoying as a business owner and a professional who just wants to get their job done, but it's momentous. We're witnessing technology advancing kind of as we speak, wouldn't you say?
yeah, definitely. Because from the beginning of quarantine till now, there's a completely different take on how people are using social. Even
Talk
now,
about that.
regularly, I wouldn't get on live or I wouldn't use Zoom. I wouldn't use Zoom or like,
Yeah, and we're people that utilize technology, and we're proficient, and that's right. You're right. That was never in like the weekly rotation at
exactly.
all.
Always just jump on your story and tell people for that 15 seconds about what's going on. But now we have an opportunity to be in completely different places right now and have conversations that are like fruitful conversations. But with that came Instagram having to put live on Chrome, to put live on desktop, to make sure that
What does that mean? Because I don't even know the technical aspect of that.
yeah,
What do you mean that live is on Chrome and live is on desktop? Like, what does that mean for all of us?
yeah, so like for your Google Chrome, you know, you can have certain limitations when you're on Google Chrome or Safari or Internet Explorer. Like those are just different ways for you to access the internet. But people from Instagram, when they tell people to go live, they say to use Google Chrome. Because clearly whatever works from their back end and their engineers, it's optimal for you to be on your Google Chrome. But
Wait, you have to launch your Instagram from Google Chrome?
like you can
Because I always go into our Instagram app on my iPad to go live.
now you can go on your laptop. Before that wasn't always a thing. Everyone used to watch lives through their phone, but now you
No,
have,
I use it on my iPad.
Yeah, like you have more options now to watch a live. Also in
Oh,
terms,
to watch a live, to
yeah,
view a live. Right.
exactly. Also, like in terms of the cap, like the little number that's at the top of your screen, um, we could use like Deanice, for example, when he started going live every single night and people just kept going and going and going, those numbers grew. But you also have to understand from an Instagram standpoint, they had to figure out how can we get all these people to fit, in this live. So I'm sure the Instagram teams are tired because of quarantine. Um,
Yeah.
but there's been so many changes.
But it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, in this short amount of time, we've seen technological changes, um, and
Advancing
it's
at breakneck speed,
yeah.
right?
And what we have to think about is like these are people in their homes; they're working from home, and they're making sure that our apps are better and clearer because they know that we're going to use our social media day in and day out.
That's right. So you were saying that you're using your resources, more than ever. What exactly are the resources that you use for staying informed and up to date when it comes to what the updates are on in terms of social media platforms?
um,
What?
So I'm always looking on like the respective site. So like Instagram will come out with updates and they'll say it. So you can go to Instagram or to Twitter or to Facebook.
Right, just go directly to the
Direct
source.
pages
Is there are pages in every single one of these platforms that will tell you,
that will
hey,
tell you.
this is what's new. That's interesting. Right. I think a lot of people don't know that, Christina.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think another thing is also like playing with your apps. Like um, IGTV is brand new, in terms of like how it's developed. But um, there's no ads on IGTV yet, so people can't really make money, and like that's something that's coming. It's going,
yes.
and people are going to start to use IGTV much more how they use YouTube. Um, and I think that the thing about it is I also like look at Adweek, so adweek.com,
Good.
and just staying informed that way because a lot of these advertisement models are the way that our social is going to go.
That's
Um,
right.
and people make a lot of money on social media, but they need to make more. So
Yes.
yeah,
100, yeah,
well,
of course, 100%.
everyone isn't
Be,
an influencer. So
right.
people are trying to find ways a lot. I mean, I'm sure that you guys have seen like, there's a lot more ads on your Instagram.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so
And you know what? I'm gonna like full disclosure. Last night I had a night where I like shopped 3 ads.
yeah.
Like literally. I was like, I've been in quarantine for a really long time.
Hmm.
I do not need a winter coat right now, but this camel fly coat that has just popped into my feed, you know what? I'm gonna buy it right now. I'm gonna try it on. I'm gonna see if I like it, if whatever. And then I did that, and
Hmm.
then I bought 2 handbags, 2 summer like Sophie Anderson handbags, and then I like went to Sephora and I was like, I'm running out of Pat McGrath lipstick, so I need like 6 more lipsticks. Like I literally and I, so far I've been very contained in this quarantine about shopping. And I don't know, something happened to me. Maybe it's because it's like going to be my birthday next week. Maybe because I'm just like quarantine fatigue. I was like, it's time to shop a little bit. But you're right. To get back to the conversation, the ads are more prevalent than ever. But I think what's beautiful about Instagram, and dare I say this, is that I think, anyone in the chat who feels the same way that I do, or, is that we like it. It's a really wonderful medium for that. Like, I actually really appreciate shopping photos and shopping brands that way.
Yeah, and
Like, it's just, there's something very organic about, and I don't think it's about taking advantage of somebody while they're whatever. I think there's something very organic about, like, you know, your desires being captured that way through Instagram and a photo and
yeah,
wanting to shop that way. So I'm not mad at it, is what I'm trying to say. Does that
like,
make sense?
oh yeah, definitely. Also, another thing is like Instagram has provided a way for you to save. So it's almost like having
Oh, I didn't even know this. There's a wish list on Instagram.
you have wish lists, you have ways to
Oh my
to
God. Did anyone else? am I like this old person that doesn't realize it? Who else? Does anyone, Story and Rain team, do you guys know about this?
Yeah,
There's a
so
wish list?
you can save, you can save, you can save posts, but you can also save items. So, I mean, I have stuff that's saved. I need to
I
stop.
just went crazy yesterday. I don't know what happened to me. I'm like, the dam broke loose. I was like, maybe it's my birthday next week. Maybe I feel like I need to buy myself something. It was crazy.
Yeah, but Instagram's definitely becoming a lot more shoppable, a lot more ad driven. So yeah, it's
No,
that.
we love that. At Story and Rain, we love that.
Yeah.
Um, but you had mentioned apps a little bit earlier. Which apps do you use most in relation to prepping social media posts?
So yeah, so for a really long time I used Planoli. I no longer use that. I use a brand from San Francisco. It's like a really small brand. They're called Unum. So UNUM. And I like that app because you can edit within it. I do like to edit some of my pictures, so it allows me to edit while I'm in there. Um, you can also add albums, and you can use captions. So a lot of the time that there are a lot of systems like Hootsuite that allows you to automate publishing and all those things. So I do that sometimes, but I really like to organic post. Like I love organic posts that don't feel robotic.
I agree. Wait,
Yeah.
Christina, and I would say that, like that's what I appreciate about you in our work together, because I do get this sense that like, and I'm very much like this, so that's why I think we work really well together. Is because like there is some element to planning that we want to do, right? We want to think in terms of theme, and we want to think in terms of visuals, but we also, I feel like, there, you want to post on the fly, like, and even on a micro level, I feel like, while you may plan a week's worth of content and you may have a color scheme in mind or whatever the case may be, you know, things come up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we have to fit them in. And I even get down to like, do people want to see this at 10 a.m. or do they want to see this at 3 p.m.?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel
Yeah.
like don't think about that unless they're in the space of like social or a content creator, um, even down to like dark imaging. Like I don't like posting dark colors and dark posts
Well, I want to talk to you all about visuals in a second, but
at when people are waking up and they see something too dark. Like that's the way that my mind works now. I don't just post anything. And
right,
um
right.
also I'm always staying up to date with what's going on. So I remember when I first started interning, I had a lot of Google alerts. And the Google alerts would come to my Google email, and they would be based in news or fashion or music or whatever I was focusing on. And every morning I would go there, and that's what I would post. So I would never, when you're into social, you have to stay up to date with what's going on. You can't have everything so robotic because at the end of the day, our world is
Yeah,
constantly.
I mean that's the thing. It's like as much as and there's this constant conversation about you know screen time and how much screen time do you log in this week or this day or whatever, and but really, yeah, I mean it's sort of a push and pull, right? Like there's a lot that you just can't pre-plan when it comes to social media,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So besides Planoly, Planoly is like a social media posting planning tool, but there other apps that you love that for photos or for video or like Headliner, or can you
Yeah.
give us your like roster of favorites?
So my roster of favorites are definitely, and I always butcher this, it's VSCO. Um,
Visco, yeah, Visco.
so that's
Yeah,
it.
that's like that. That's one of the. That's really, if not the best, but one of the best photo apps.
That best
Why
part.
do you like Visco?
Um, it can come. I can put something in and it comes straight out. There's some of these apps are very hard to manage, and when you're moving quickly and when you need things at the drop of the dime, like I can't wait for like something to keep buffering and buffering and buffering and buffering. So that's what I use for photos. Um, I'm trying to think. The repost app is like
It's
another.
like tried and true. Like we
Yeah,
love it.
like bread.
But repost, because there's a number of repost apps. So
Yeah.
Christina, do you want to like tell everybody which is the legit
So
repost app?
it's called Repost. And the eye
Correct.
blue, and it has like a little like square within it, but that's the only one I use. I don't use any other repost app, and it gives you the ability to copy a caption. It gives you the ability
To
to
grab everything you
grab,
want.
but it doesn't give you the ability to, when you have a carousel of 2 videos, you can't grab it. So that's one thing. If you do use it, you can only grab 1 video at a time. But that's a really good one that I love. I'm trying to like think. There's also an app that a lot of people don't know. It's called Story Reposter. You can actually
Guys, listen up. Story reposter.
yeah, you can actually you can actually repost from someone else's story by simply just typing in their name. So I use that often if I miss something, you know, because they disappear in 24 hours. So if I miss something, I'll use that all the time.
That's great. That's a great tip.
Yeah, so I use that often. And then Canva. Canva is a tool that is very easy to use on your phone that a lot of people use text posts on. When I don't have time to go into my Adobe Cloud or my Photoshop or Illustrator and I'm on the run, I'm in Canva. So that's another big
I
one.
love it. These are really great tips.
Yeah.
So Christina, generally speaking, let's talk about, we're talking about social media today. Generally speaking, these things change all the time, but if I'm kind of like, think of this as like a lightning round for what's going on today. Generally speaking, which visuals get the most likes and or views these days from your experience?
Definitely anything that's authentic.
Like I have no makeup and I'm in my
yeah,
tank top.
this conversation a lot. The posts that are doing really well right now are posts that are people just doing everyday stuff, cooking, cleaning, sharing music. Those types of things are what people want to see. There was actually an article. I'm gonna find it and I'll give it to you to post somewhere. But they said that the Instagram aesthetic is dead. So we're not doing as much.
I know.
You
And
know, like,
as a very, not to cut you off, I'm cutting
mhm.
you off again because that's what I do. I can't help myself. But like, anyone that knows me knows like what a visual person I am. And I can get very stuck in perfecting the beauty of something. Everyone that knows me knows this is me. And I knew that, this information came to me not just now, but like months and months ago, that it really doesn't, it's not about like sort of the look and feel of your feed, even though like, that doesn't matter anymore, right? It's about capturing people in an individual post. So
Yeah.
don't even worry about, I mean, I think but actually, like, I think there's something to be said though, Christina. Like, there's a
gray area.
There's a time and a place when you're a new brand and you want to introduce yourself to market, or you're still in process of introducing yourself to the market. I think that there's a time and a place to sort of like, as a brand, to show who you are.
Yeah,
but ultimately, generally speaking,
yeah, I would say
where we were all very hypersensitive about curation and perfection, that is no longer the rule.
yeah, no. So it's not set in stone anymore, and a lot of people are using their stories a lot more instead of having just static posts. I've always been a huge fan of video. I'm a really, I love video. I love video or anything that moves.
Why? Wait, let's get into that more. Why?
Because I just
Tell
feel
me why video resonates with you.
Our attention spans as humans, let's backtrack. So I just love things that move because I feel like it tells a story better. But one thing about video is Instagram and all these other apps allow you to do short form. So very quick, concise, bring people in and then bring them to a story. But I feel like when we actually got the opportunity to have, the stories feature within the app, it allows you to create long form video content that you couldn't create before.
That's right.
And even on Instagram when they introduced the 1 minute video. Like those things they're thought out, you know.
Tell me about it, of
Yeah.
course.
Um,
Yeah.
Even I remember when I was working at Huffington Post, and we would always like one of our best practices was 30-second video clips. We
Wait, what was it? 30-second video
Yeah.
clips. Yeah.
So like if ABC came to us with a video, we would tell them the best way for you to get it on Huffington Post is if it's 30,
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
interesting because we've encountered this as Story and Rain. You know, this is really what this minutia is what we deal in every day, is sort of pivoting and bobbing and weaving, you know, based on these types of best practices that are, yeah,
So
coming out.
hey, like I've always been in love with video, and you can see from every act we play that it's an amazing part of the way that people are now telling stories. So
Yeah, I
definitely.
agree. Okay, we just talked about visuals that are capturing people's attention right now, generally speaking. We know, you know, we have, there's a whole other, our world, the world of 2020 is a whole other, we're going to get into that.
Crazy.
But generally speaking,
Yeah.
what types of captions get the most likes these days, aside from what the country and the world is going through right now? In general,
Yeah.
generally speaking, what kinds of captions are there
I think
that are
depends on your platform. Honestly, there are some platforms that people go to for information. And
correct, but like trendy, you know,
I don't think that there's
not anything newsy, like
yeah, trendy. I would say that a little bit more than 2 sentences. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm realizing that people don't take to just like have a great day. Like, you know, like these like little things that people think are like,
quippy shit. Yeah,
yeah, that are witty, or people don't want to see that. Like, I mean,
especially not now.
yeah, and also I feel like we can get that done now with text posts. So just putting, you know, a background and putting words in a post. Like we don't need your like little like quote of the day. We need like a little bit more.
Right.
And
That's a really good tip actually, is that like maybe that sort of quote of the day and that like that I think that might be, you know, I don't know, there's still people that are doing that and if that's your brand, then that's your brand.
yeah,
But people, if you're going to post something, we want to know a little bit more about why you're posting this, right?
yeah. Like I tell people all the time, like provide exclusivity. So give somebody a give somebody a few words about something that they don't know. Um,
That's right.
that's what's going to bring people back to your page. People don't want to constantly see the same thing. So when you reinvent yourself, or you reinvent the way that people are communicating or storytelling, like people are going to come back to your page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what is a common specific desire amongst clients when it comes to social media? I mean, we know everybody wants to grow their accounts, but is there a specific gripe or goal that you see time and again?
Yeah. So right now, I would say original content. Everyone is looking for content that is not on social.
It's interesting because we deal in original content. So
Yeah.
I love sort of hearing that other side of things from
Yeah.
you. But yeah,
It's original content.
yeah,
And content, I think one of the best things I've seen to date so far in quarantine, you had just posted Hanifa, the brand,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and her doing a virtual fashion show
yeah.
on
But
live.
in the way that she did it, you know, the thing with her is sort of Anifa. Everybody should go to at HANIFA.com and follow. Not because she makes beautiful clothing, but she's certainly one to watch. And she was so witty and smart and what's the word I'm looking for? In the way that she decided amidst COVID-19 to present her collection. Like it was just well done. It showed a taste level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's your taste level or not doesn't really matter, but it showed a taste level and it was amazing. So talk about Hanifa's account.
Yeah, so you know, as an outsider looking in, I don't have like the background of all of her accounts, but I do know that they have a social that sat down and thought that through. They even thought about how they were going to present it on live and have it run as a loop because
attention to details. That's like the
yeah,
biggest.
attention to detail is sick. And I think that it was great. And the reason why it had such a moment and people are still talking about it is because she provided something to people that are in need. And I think that's
Well, what is that? If you could articulate that in a
yeah,
sentence, what is that sentence?
I think with social, you know, we have spaces, like I was saying, that provide information or a place you can shop or a place you can go for inspirational quotes. Like those are all different types of social accounts.
That's right. They're very, you know, there's a lot. That's what we love about social, right? You can, you know, obtain and garner all kinds of content, right?
Yeah. So there's different types of content, but from her perspective, she said, all right, we're in quarantine, but I have a collection that needs to be seen. And she provided a way for us to experience a fashion show from our bed, you know. And I think that it wasn't just the fashion show, but it was also the movement of the bodies and the music that was playing, and like all of those things come into social.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like either Forbes or Fast Company, I'm pretty sure it was Fast Company, described it as haunting, and but in the best way, in the best possible way, is that, you know, this person who responded to the zeitgeist and what was happening in the moment, you know, created this thing that was just so, it's actually so profound,
Yeah,
right?
it was super profound. And
That's what's very cool about social media and getting message out there, right?
yeah, I think that's the best part. And I think what people have to realize is with social, it takes time. A lot of the things that you're seeing that are put out, all of this content, all of this posting, it's heavy on time. So to see that executed flawlessly, like the way that the live didn't cut or anything like that,
Yeah, it's like mind blowing. It's like, yeah.
probably one of the social media moments that I experienced during quarantine. Aside from like, you know, Deanice DJing and like different verses and things like that. I think that was like amazing use of content. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really amazing what Deanice did,
Yeah.
what he's done.
Yeah.
I have a relationship with him. I know him from before all this, and he DJ'd our holiday party a couple of years ago, and it's been really amazing. You know, again, in the same way that you know, I, you know, during quarantine, many of us who are heavy on social media have witnessed the evolving of the tools and the features. It's like you know, it's been amazing to see how Deanice evolved his own platform.
Yeah.
It's been
It
incredible.
increased by like millions of followers in like a week.
Yeah, and I was in there. I was in there for the first, you know, DJ session because I just knew him from before, and then it's I love seeing him on commercials and seeing where it's gone and where it's going to go. It's been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a cool moment in history too. I think a lot's happening right now, right? Like
Much. And it's moving so quickly. And even like to go back to TikTok, like TikTok,
yeah, let's talk about TikTok.
like it took off during quarantine, and you know, it's something that
Oh, so is that the official word on the street? Is that TikTok took off during quarantine? Because I know it was like in marination. It was
yeah,
like, you know, marination, TikTok, people are on, people are sort of not on.
yeah.
So has it really kicked off? It's like in quarantine,
I feel like
TikTok is now.
yeah, I feel like it definitely kicked off during quarantine because people were, again, like I was saying, like you're providing a space for people in need. You know, these challenges came out by the week, and then you
Yeah.
had different artists who were making sure that they were creating dances for these challenges, and that doesn't only impact, you know, the social community, but then that impacts the music industry. And
Yeah.
that, you know, like you could use Drake. Like Drake put out songs specifically for TikTok.
That's right.
And
That's smart. Like
Yeah,
if I had a, you know, I'd love to be doing the same thing, like creating some sort of an asset that people can obtain on TikTok.
yeah, and
Um,
you have to just find cool ways. I've been seeing a lot of women in fashion have been doing like makeovers or
oh yeah, and makeovers will never go out of style. It's
exactly.
funny though, because I actually you're reminding me in this conversation is that I literally just had a conversation with a friend of mine that I've known since I was 18. We went to Villanova together, and
Cool.
she lives in, you know, outside, you know, suburban Ohio,
Hmm.
and I live, you know, in New York City, born and raised, you know, all, you know, Queens of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan.
Hmm.
And she literally said to me probably a day ago,
Hmm.
TikTok is keeping my family alive. It's kept us laughing in 2020. That's
Yeah,
a powerful thing for, like, you know, an Ohio mom of 2 or 3 kids to be saying, you
yeah,
know, right now. So I think everyone listen up. Like that's what, you know, you got Christina who's like, you know, a person who's a social media manager, and then you've got like the mom in Ohio that is saying like from a totally different perspective,
exactly. And
right?
Sarah, I used to work with her at Essence. She said
Hey
it
Sarah.
that it's digestible. So this is
Right.
content that goes back to what I was saying about video. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. It can make you laugh. It can make you. It can. It just
It incites a feeling, and
yeah.
hopefully it's a good feeling,
It's
right? Like
it puts you through it, and then you're like, I mean, with these challenges, there became a point during quarantine where I was like, oh my god, I have to keep up with all these challenges, you know. But you also have to like you have to keep a pulse on what's going on. So yeah, I think TikTok made a huge hit. Twitter, as I was saying before, is always the place for news, the place for laughs, the place that people are constantly talking. um, I think of Twitter as like New York City. Like no one sleeps on Twitter, everyone's always
yeah,
on.
you just want to get your point out and you want to be done and you want to move
Exactly.
on, right?
So definitely those.
Yeah. So I want to get to a very timely and important topic. There are a number of questions that your clients are asking you these days. And I feel, you know, why we're doing this today, amongst other reasons, we would probably do it anyway. But I feel it's important to share your valuable perspective by sharing your answers to these questions that people are coming to you about these days. So, first, let's start with this before we get into it. What exactly have you been posting on social media?
Yeah, so my page has always been like a home. Like I love my Instagram. I curate my Instagram. It was always where I shared my travel diaries because I love to travel. But recently, with everything that happened with you know, George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, I transitioned my whole page. So now my page is a home.
Do you remember which day you did that,
Yeah,
Christina? Like,
that was on Blackout Tuesday. So that was
because
Tuesday.
I think, I mean, I'm getting a little like micro about this, but I think like if we're gonna talk, and you know this because you've got all these clients, and like people want to know like when did you shut it down and just like switch gears?
So I've always, we can begin with, I've always been a person that, my background is also in sociology. So I've always been a person to focus on news and to focus on um,
Right,
just like people, you know? And
right.
so I would always post content like that. But on Blackout Tuesday, there was everyone was so upset. They were like, "Oh my God, they're putting the Black Lives Matter hashtag under
And
black."
it threw what? No, you're right. Like it threw like the collective into a tizzy, right,
Like,
Christina? Like no one knew what to do.
yeah, there were articles about how people were creating too much of a, you know, too much traffic on the Black Lives Matter. Like it was just becoming this thing.
No, but I want to talk to you about that. So actually, like,
So it became a thing where
l-
it was a lot
well,
of.
let's talk first about what were you what have you been posting on social media?
To go back to that, I've been posting uh, Black history, and I've been using
Why?
for me or for just
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I want you to speak to it. Why?
so like I think
I
that
want you to say why that was your instinct. I just want to post Black History. Why?
because I think that people like to say that there's a gap in knowledge. I don't think that there's a gap in knowledge, but I think that people like to say that there's a gap in knowledge. So as I said, like with social, I use social to take up space for things that are for people that are in need. That's the way that I think of social. So if no one knows Black History facts, Chris is going to put Black History facts on a page.
Right. Right. That's right.
And
That's right.
and I also would like to say I'm not the first person to do that. There's a ton of Instagram pages that have that content.
Right.
But I think the way that I was pushing it out and how I was visually pushing it out was allowing people to get digestible content again. And
you were snapshotting it.
Yeah, snapshot. So like you don't know what you don't know what Black Wall Street is. You can go to my page and there it's in 3 sentences and now you know, like
it's in a tile. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's these things are all Google, but the thing about our generation is we don't like to read.
We don't like to what?
We don't like to read a lot. And
I know. Well, I love to read. And
yeah,
but it's interesting. It's like the one thing that falls to the wayside in my life. I've said this like on 3 or 4 like Instagram lives. Like there's a stack of, anyone that has been to our space, our workspace, like knows that there's like magazines everywhere and books everywhere. Yeah. And but like, it's the one thing that like when you get busy, it sort of falls to the wayside.
Yeah.
It annoys me, but.
And like, that's how my room is. Like my room, like I have books here and like books on my, and like, like I have those things, but I don't think that people are reading. Like
they're just not. You're right. They're not.
And I think that like the thing was that it was like, fine, this is the space to let everyone know, like, this is what's going on. You don't know who George Floyd is? I got you. Here, so for me it just felt natural, and I've just been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm happy that people were able to share it, and I have some things that I'm going to end up doing with those tiles that are going to be pretty cool. So
I love that. I no doubt, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Can you talked about this a second ago. Can you relay the Black Lives Matter tagging issue that has existed? I myself have seen quite a few accounts that haven't gotten the memo yet, but for people that do not know, I personally have seen that still people do not know. Will you please explain that?
So yeah, so when everyone was posting the tile, just the black tile, and they were posting the Black Lives Matter hashtag under it, what happens is when anything is tagged, and this is just across any platform, the content starts to flow through. So then you can go to that tag and you can see things. The problem with that is for a week, we had been seeing protests, and we had been seeing brutality at its forefront, like in front of our face. And we blacked it out because we're using a black tie. So, the content disappears and you don't see it anymore. So the bigger thing was that we were silencing ourselves while trying to make it. And honestly, the thing, that's just, everyone doesn't know social media.
No, I know. And so that's why I felt it was really important to have you explain that, because I even, as of a few days ago, I was scrolling and I was like, I knew about this first and foremost, like a long time, a week, whatever, 2 weeks ago. But you still see some people who you think who would be in the know. They're still sort of posting that hashtag. I mean, it's all, I think, it's a lot of it is very well intentioned. I think that a lot of people just don't know.
They just
so that's why that's why I wanted you to share. Yeah,
and I also think that just everyone in general, like, we have to be more cognizant that social media is new. It's not like a book, like everyone's constantly learning different things about social. So from someone who doesn't know how a hashtag works, that could happen, and it's
Of course.
like it's a teachable.
I That's right.
So
Right. Not every, actually, you make a really good point because you sort of are making the point that it has forced people to be a little bit more thoughtful about social media, and not only sort of the craft of it and the visual and the writing that is involved, but also the technical aspect of social media.
yeah,
I think maybe a lot of people, you know, were awoken to just like, respecting the medium a little bit more, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Right?
And I think also like people don't. So I'm just a social media manager, but there's an engineer. There's a
Right.
there's a content creator. There's a community manager. There's so many people that are involved in social, and I think that there's a photographer that makes content first. There's a writer. There's a copy editor. It's
Yeah,
not just one person that's pushing everything out.
that's right.
It's a group of
It's
people.
right. Well, what seems like, so, that I think that's for a lot of people that aren't in the business or not utilizing social media as a major business tool, which most and a lot of us are.
Yeah.
They don't realize exactly, I would say that our business is like, 50% social media, like whether we like it or not. Not that I'm not saying that we don't like it, but we, if it, when we launched in 2017, early 2017, it was more like late 2016, but you can't count it because it was like 2 weeks before the end of the year. But like, we launched in an era where half of what we do is we've got a website, we've got an e-commerce website and an online magazine, but half of the business is a social media business. It just
Yeah.
is.
It
So
it is. And
that's sort of like, that's the business model for the modern sort
the
of business, at least in this realm.
yeah.
But I want to get, we have like barely 10 minutes left, and I want to get to the meat of the conversation, which is I want to talk about what you're encountering with clients right now in America's current climate and the world's current climate. And I want to get you relayed to me. I want to make this clear that you relayed to me that these were the questions that people have been asking you these days. And I said, I think that people should hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a valuable perspective, and I think that people should hear those answers from you
Mm-hmm.
here. So one of the things that you're getting from people is, what should I post?
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
So especially last week, I was getting from a lot of clients, like a ton, like, what should I post? A lot of my clients are posting lifestyle images. So
Still.
yeah. So, and it's like, how do we respect what's going on, while also sticking to, what's going on in the world? And I think my advice to them, one, we got to take a step back, because you have to think about your audience. Like, who is your audience and what do they care about? And also, you don't want your messaging to go out fast. So a lot of brands were putting out like, okay, Black Lives Matter, or like a tile, or, all these different things. But it's also, like I expressed to you, like, drop a link, that can allow
Yeah.
go find more information, and can go allow someone to, donate, or, learn more. I think that there was really big, I think that people were trying to be too fast.
Well, because it's the nature of the beast, right, Christina? It's sort of like, social media is a very, it's a fast-paced
Mhm.
sort of, platform medium, what have you. And yeah, so there's like this sort of misguided sense that things should be posted quickly and without thought. And it's sort of like, no, actually, maybe you need to go dark. Maybe you need to go quiet until you fine tune the message that is right for you.
Yeah.
Like, don't just put anything out there. A lot, I think that a lot of that was happening, right, in the last few weeks, would you say?
Yeah, I would say definitely. And I think also like a lot of these brands have made pledges to the Black Lives Matter movement, and there's been a lot of numbers thrown out and a lot of
That's right. You forget about people's budget and
and
rejiggering their
yeah, and like, but what's going to change everything is how people follow through with that. So like we can use, I don't know if it was Nike or one of the brands, they like pledged like $100 million, right? So if you pledged $100 million to any movement, you know, you need to follow through with how that's going to play out. Like, what does that look like?
You now have a responsibility.
Exactly, because now it's
correct.
Social and it lives there forever.
That's right.
And
it's not enough to token
yeah,
sort of
to just say these things. And
that's right.
I think something that I wanted to communicate to all of my clients was to handle this with care, because yes, I'm a Black woman and I know what it feels like. But also this has been going on for so long that everyone think about like how can they contribute to helping, you know. I think that this entire issue that's gone on with the last couple of weeks is just like, from a social standpoint, we were fed so much content, but sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, how am I actually going to help? Because just posting a picture you know, doesn't help the actual cause. So
that's right.
Yeah.
We have like you know, a minute and a half left, and I think this is a really valuable question to ask. So give us your best answer. I think you have a really good one. You know, and I think this is one that it's loaded and it's on everyone's mind. Mm-hmm. What is inappropriate to post? So what's your answer to that?
What is inappropriate to post?
You said that was a question that clients have asked you over the last few weeks.
So I think what's inappropriate to post is, it's not what's inappropriate to post, it's to forget. So, you know, we can post for a week or for 2 weeks or whatever it may be, but I think the bigger thing is, you know, to highlight disenfranchised communities on social media all the time. And, you know, like, it shouldn't be just a moment. This should be something that happens often. So that's just my take. It's not really about what's appropriate. It's more about how are you going to take this moment and continue this moment. So that's my take on it.
I think that's a very valuable piece of advice for people when they're trying to figure out what is a good time to get back to their standard content posting. Like, we can't really fault people for, you know, everyone has had businesses set up. They've had, you know, people have put a lot of time and effort into social media, you know, in terms of like look and feel and cadence and captions and visuals, and, you know, everyone's had to pivot, and we're hoping that everybody does it the right way. And I think that you give some very valuable advice in terms of like, you know, what is a good time to get back to it and what should be happening now, right?
Yeah. So it's just like, I think the biggest thing for me is acknowledging that it was there.
That's right.
Like, a lot of the times people are like, well, this is the first time we've ever seen, like, it's not, like, this is not the first George
Floyd. I mean, you and I had that conversation, right? We talked about that. And it's sort of like, people are always going to have those conversations. Like, they, you know, it's social media. It's a very public platform. So no one really ever knows what someone's account or life or experience is about, right? So your advice to people is just put out what? As we close.
My advice to people is put out content that feels good, content that's authentic, and content that that highlights other people. So that's my take.
All right, Christina, it was really great talking to you.
Thank you.
This was a very valuable conversation.
See you later.